But yeah, I mean, Danny Mac, I know he did Strictly, but that opening number he does with Dan is so hard. I mean, it's really hard. And the wonderful thing, they would be in at 9:30 rehearsing, because I'm a sort of person that's always in really early. And Nikolai was the same. It was quite wonderful that we were always, but they were always in rehearsing with Joe Morris, my assistant. I mean, they were real pros.
Just talking musicals with you. Hello, I'm Lesley Ann Knight, and welcome back to part 2 of our White Christmas special and the second half of my interview with two-time Olivier Award-winning choreographer Stephen Mear.
With some iconic shows that you get, like, for instance, West Side Story, people are at pains to keep the original choreography, aren't they? The Jerome Robbins choreography.
Yeah.
With White Christmas, you had more freedom, didn't you? You were able to choreograph this yourself.
Yeah, and also we were lucky because we had those different numbers.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't do a show because I think I've been offered Fiddler a couple of times, and it means I have to do most of the original. When we did Gypsy, it was the first time it could be done without Jerome's choreography. Apart from, we had to do the trenches, but that's what it says on the tin. But we didn't have a screen, so it had to be different anyway. And the 3 strippers, but that does what it says on the tin as well. So the other numbers that were all free. So yeah, it was great that White Christmas was a free range and all these fabulous new songs for me. It was wonderful.
And I regret that I didn't see it, but of course I'm going to hopefully get a chance to see it when we're all allowed out again. But I've read that the dancing sequence at the opening of Act 2 is allegedly phenomenal, and that's I Love a Piano, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, beautiful little, well, it's a number that builds and builds. The numbers are structured so brilliantly as well with the dance arrangements, I have to say. The dance arrangements are wonderful. We added extra hits in with the drums. I got a drummer in early to do things like that, which was nice. We got to do that. But yeah, it's the tap number is wonderful. It is great. Everybody loves tap, I think. And it comes out of, no, you don't expect it really. So that's the other nice thing at the beginning of Act 2. But one of my favorite, another big favorite is Blue Skies at the end of Act 1, where they're rehearsing, but they go into the number, but things go wrong and it all ends up being a mess at the end. But that number was wonderful for me to do, that old style jazz, which I really love, and really stylized with the arms and it's harder than people think to do, but I love that one very much.
And it's also the other thing about shaping a show, isn't it? About bringing the end of the first act to a proper end so that people feel, oh, what's going to happen next? And then you've got to have a big number to bring everyone back in, haven't you?
Yeah, it's very clever, the end of that one, because even though it's a big number, it kind of gets spoiled by these people running across and them chasing, this argument's going on during it. But it's very cleverly structured. And Nikolai and myself, we changed it slightly to how they'd done it before, I think. But it was really nice. It was just clever, very clever.
And who is the musical director, the supervisor on it?
Neil MacDonald was ours, but originally I'm trying to think who it was in London. I can't think, but the music was brilliant, and we had new arrangements because our band was smaller. But yeah, it's great. Things like that are so interesting.
Yeah, and I suppose the more you collaborate, the more that you know that you can work with the people that are putting this whole big process together, the more creative you can become.
Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful if you're all on the same page, costumes, lighting, everything. That you all need to be on the same page for collaboration, because you can tell as soon as you see a show where people haven't sat together and really they're just out for their own bits in the show. You want the whole show to be good, don't you, for it to be a success?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's very important. Collaboration is massive.
Yeah, and the leads that you had for it, you have Danny Mac, Dan Burton.
Monique Young originally.
Yes.
Monique Young and Emma Williams originally, and then that changed to Claire House and Danielle Hope in town, who are also, I mean, Claire and Monique are both two of my favorite, and Dan Burton, I've worked with them a lot. So I knew how big and how far I can push them, because I always like to push them even more.
They're all dancers though, aren't they?
Yeah, and I don't think Danielle was as much, but she moves beautifully, really aware of her body. And but yeah, I mean, Danny Mac, I know he did Strictly, but that opening number he does with Dan is so hard. I mean, it's really hard. And the wonderful thing, they would be in at 9:30 rehearsing, because I'm a sort of person that's always in really early. And Nikolai was the same. It was quite wonderful that we were always, but they were always in rehearsing with Joe Morris, my assistant. I mean, they were real pros, working so hard.
This is one of the things that I always talk to, because when I'm teaching, one of the things I talk to my students, because they're musical theatre students and I'm teaching them singing, but one of the things that I always say to them is, when somebody's been doing something for a couple of weeks, can I move on? I'm bored with that now. It's like, no, we haven't even got to the centre of it yet. You want to learn something so well that it becomes spontaneous, don't you?
And also, yeah, and also it's not just about doing a dance, it's telling a story and acting it. So
Yeah.
it's just a dance for dance sake. They have to dance and feel it and perform it and tell a story if they're in love. And, you know, it's not just about dance with me, and especially not with Nikolai. And that's what makes it go to another level.
Yeah. But also the professionalism of being in early. It isn't just being in early for the sake of being in early either, is it? It's
No, I mean, I'm very lucky that way because a lot of people that work for me are really at the top of their game. Some
yeah,
of them would not have done ensemble, but because it was a short run, decided to do it. But they would mostly be all, especially more with White Christmas. They were definitely in early and rehearsing and wanting it to be good. You know, it was a wonderful feeling to see that.
yes. And the other that leads me to my next thing that I wanted to ask you, because I know as a singer how intimidated I used to feel about having to go to dance auditions, and it's vice versa, isn't it? Dancers who used to have to, but now you get people who are such incredible triple threats, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
And but how, when you're dealing with somebody who isn't a dancer first and foremost, who is a singer, how do you work with them to make them work as dancers and movers?
I mean, I always try and I love working with actors. I try and make them feel as comfortable as possible. I mean, we had Brenda Edwards join us the second time, and she's not a dancer, but my God, she can move, and she moves. She's a very sexy lady. I mean, she's a bigger, sexy lady, and she knows how to work her body. You just fall in love with her. So I want to give her exactly the same as I'd given Wendy the year before. So I worked on her and see what moves she did that made her look good. So we did that, and she was wonderful. I mean, she just wanted to please me and Nikolai so much, and you know, I know she was from X Factor, because sometimes I'm not mad about these TV celebrities that come from Only Ways Essex or something like that. It's a big no-no. But Brenda came from that music industry, and she learned her craft before. She'd done Mum and Morton and things, but she just wanted to be good. It was wonderful to work with her. So I love making non-dancers feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been times in auditions when people have come in and said, I'm an actor and singer, I don't dance." I'm like, "Yeah, you know, it's a musical." Whereas if an actor would come in and say, "Oh my God, you know, I'm not the strongest mover, but I love dancing." I mean, that's like music to my ears, and I know I'll be able to get loads out of them.
Yes. It reminds me of talking to Richard Eyre about Guys and Dolls when they were looking for the cast for Guys and Dolls in '82, and who was the choreographer? Um,
David Chigurh.
that's right. And when people were coming in for the auditions,
Yeah,
actors primarily coming for the auditions, what he did was he just did you probably know this, he just did a count, 1, 2, 3, 4,
walk
and
on
told them to
time.
walk across the studio. And if they could walk across the studio in time, then he knew that he could work with them.
I have to say that show, as I was at college at the time, and I went to see it about 4 times. I saved my money up. It was one of the most exciting pieces of theatre that inspired me to do Anything Goes in the same sort of way, with all different characters, shapes, and sizes. I mean, Imelda Staunton was understudied to Julia Mackenzie, and she had like 2 lines.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was the level of that cast at the
Oh,
National. It was mind blowing.
wasn't it? And they were looking for the classic line is that they were looking for characters from the original, characters with bumps. That's what they were always looking for. And I had no idea that you did that as well, because I was in the audience. I was at standing room only 6 times at the back of that production. I
4 or 5, I did.
it was outstanding, wasn't it? I think anyone that's ever been to that, I know we're talking about White Christmas, but anyone who's ever been to see Guys and Dolls at the National in 1982, they beam when they talk about it.
Oh, blew my mind, seriously.
Yeah,
Just everything. I mean, David Chigurh and you know, it was just, he's so clever with what he did. Bless him. He's not with us any longer, sadly, but he, you know, he was so clever.
I heard a story, and I am going off piste here, that that Jim Carter and some of the other actors were backstage at the National, and they were either they were just rehearsing for something else, or they were intrigued because they could see a lot of interesting things going on in one of the studios, and they knew there was an audition going on. And I don't know if it's true or not, but they were drawn into just having a go at the audition with Guys and Dolls. But I'll probably get emails now saying, no, that's a load of nonsense. But that surprised me, because it's that whole thing about, and that's kind of what happened with the original production, that they were really, really looking
Yeah,
for people who, like the Stubby K character.
yeah.
He was a bought.
David Healy, wasn't it?
Oh, he was sensational, wasn't he?
Always with him. I mean, oh my God, he was wonderful. But I think they're more characterful than the film that they had at the National.
Yes.
When I did it in Paris, I've done it at Royal Albert Hall and Paris. Big different characters again, because it's so wonderful to see all shapes and sizes dance. Is so exciting to watch. I don't care what anyone says. It really is, and we do that in Poppins as well.
Yeah, and this is the whole thing about the magical potion of choreography, isn't it? The way
Yeah,
that it
absolutely.
and
So if you're doing a big number like I did in Anything Goes, or it's knowing how to hide the actors but keep them in, and so you think they've done the whole lot. It's a real clever thing, which I've learned from people I've worked with, like Bob Avian and Susan Stroman and those brilliant people. But you learn how to do that, because I mean, when we did Anything Goes origin, when I was in it with Elaine, I mean, that the choreographer Michael Smear, and I think she'd come on, sing the number, she'd go off, we'd do the dance number, she'd come on at the end, and everybody thought she'd done the number. I think that's a bit of a cheat for me. So I used to, when I had Sally Ann in Anything Goes, I kept her in all the way through. She danced most of the way through it, and John Barrowman. So
fantastic. I love those stories. I just find it so exciting. And we must get back to White Christmas, because but therein lies all your experience with those shows. Pays into a beautiful musical like White Christmas, doesn't it? And that the tap number at the beginning of Act Two, coming back to that, and it just it energizes the show, doesn't it, and carries it on.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, one of my favorite numbers in the end was Best Things Happen While You're Dancing. I mean, it's not the same as the film. Nicola and myself decided to put other couples in dancing around, but Nicola had this idea, it wasn't mine, that they would dance in space, like all the moons would come down and planets, and the tables they were sitting at turned over and took the sheets off were planets on the front of and at the first I was a bit like, oh really, oh okay, me being not, you know, and it actually ended up being one of the most beautiful things to watch on the stage. That's Nicolai's idea. It really was gorgeous.
And that was at the Curve.
Yeah, that's where we started, at the Curve. He kind of came up with that idea. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, because I just think the auditorium, the shape of everything that you've got at the Curve allows for something really imaginative, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you know, and like I love doing patterns, especially on those big stages.
Yeah.
You can't beat doing patterns.
Oh, it's so exciting. I mean, and the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about was and it's the whole thing about White Christmas. When people talk about the film, it's always Bing Crosby at the end, isn't it? And it's, people forget about those. I know we've talked about the songs, but people do forget about these terrific Irving Berlin songs that just one after another after another. And I know that Irving Berlin, he wrote so many songs. He actually had a trunk full of songs, unused songs that he could go through, that, you know, if he needed something to put into a show. And I think Cole Porter was a bit like that as well, but it was the fact that Irving Berlin actually had a trunk full of songs, and his you know, songs like, I know it's not in White Christmas, but There's No Business Like Show Business, for instance, he threw that away because his musical secretary told him, or his secretary when she was typing up told him she thought it was a bit boring. But it's just the process of those songs, and then finding the songs to put into the show for this White Christmas. It's so exciting because you can never, when there is never a boring Irving Berlin song, is there?
That's what I mean. They must have had a wealth of music to choose from, or what they allowed them to choose from. I don't know why they didn't let us. Like there's a big dance section in White Christmas in the film where they do Mandy and they do a ballet section and a tambourine section and taps, which is very good. But they're not in our show. But we then have I Love a Piano and Blue Skies, which I think are equally, if not probably better than Mandy and that little section.
So, what song did Brenda Edwards sing? Because she had a new one, didn't she, that wasn't in the film?
She sang I'm Happy. Let me sing a funny song with crazy words all along. It's a beautiful song, but it builds and builds. And then she goes into a big Broadway number because she was a turn in the show. I mean, she used to be a big Broadway star. And that's how they she was known for a massive voice, and they notice it when they meet her, and then she tries to get in the show. I think they put her in it in the end.
And that's the other thing, the lovely thing about the story of White Christmas. It's this whole let's put on a show idea but the underlying theme of it is that life has gone on, people have they all knew each other from long ago, times has been hard, and even their Christmas doesn't look like it's going to be normal because there's no snow and things aren't going so well for people.
And then, the love relationships are
but
well.
and but even for the General Waverley, his star has waned.
Yeah,
And it's that whole thing about everything coming together because people care. And of course, at the risk of sounding a little bit sort of predictable here, it kind of sums up a lot of the feeling that's going on with everybody this year, is that
yeah.
everybody, we should sort of stop. Well, we've had to stop, but it's the whole be kind notion, isn't it, about thinking about everybody else at Christmas, which is a heck of a message for this year, isn't it, in particular in 2020.
Yeah, without a doubt, because everybody's been up and down and up and down, and everybody at all different times. And I
Yeah.
think being kind and just it doesn't hurt anyone to be nice. And this show does lift you, and it does tell that beautiful thing at the end. They all get together, everybody turns up for the general, and and they sing My Christmas, and it starts to snow, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it again, definitely this Christmas.
I'll watch it anytime it comes on. I'll watch it.
Yeah. Just one final thing, I suppose. Why do you think it's just those reasons, isn't it? That's why it's been so enduring over the years.
Yeah, I mean, at Christmas everybody gets together, and that's been produced every year, hasn't it? It always comes out. It is the best Christmas film, really.
Yeah.
It's just wonderful. It's about family and love, and I think that's why everybody needs a Christmas. But it really is the most joyous show.
Yeah. And fingers crossed for next year, White Christmas will be happening again.
Yeah, we're supposed to be. Yeah, we should have been now. We'd have just about open. But yeah, we'll be doing it next year and probably next few years. I think we've contracted for 5 years on it. So that would be lovely for us, and keep bringing it out and taking it around the country. And hopefully we'll still get the most amazing cast, because I say at the Donmar, we had the most stunning cast, which is, although they work hard, it does make your work look even better when they're that brilliant.
Yes. It's a first class cast, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And it just sparkles. I can see from everything that I've looked at online, and I think, oh, well, I know you're a really good dancer, and I know that you're brilliant at that. And of course, you're brilliant at what you do. And it's just this combination of everybody together.
Yeah, it was lovely. And Jamie Wilson, who produced it with Curve Leicester, I mean, he was very good at giving us stuff because he wants it to be good and big and make it last. So that's always that, when people have got that passion for it.
Yeah.
So hopefully, and the 4 leads had a great connection at the Donmar, which was wonderful, and you could tell.
Did you just say the
Donmar? Could you imagine in the Donmar? Sorry, in the Dominion. But yeah, they had a great connection.
Yeah.
Which is very special.
Yes. Oh, Stephen, it's been so fantastic to talk to you about White Christmas. It is my Christmas present, because I've been thinking for a while now, I'd love to talk to, as usual, I'd love to talk to Stephen about White Christmas. And wouldn't it be really nice this year of all years to do a White Christmas Just Talking Musical special? And then when you said yes, I was over the moon. So
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Uh,
meeting up with me for today.
and have a lovely Christmas.
Thank you, Stephen.
Happy New Year.
Lots of love, and we'll meet for our big proper interview in 2021. I can't wait.
Fabulous. I look forward to it. Bye, Lesley.
Happy Christmas. Thank you, Steve.
Bye.
Just talking musicals, musicals with you. Winning smile. Happy Christmas.